They will demagogue on abortion. Republicans, they better have a good answer. And they also need to understand where the country is. If people were to ask me my personal views, okay, I'm pretty pro-life. If you're asking me politically where a politician needs to be, I would say the Dobbs decision of 15 weeks, that's where the country is. And if Republican politicians don't understand that, then, and they run on that, they're going to get their asses kicked and they're going to lose.
Oh, I love these stories involving conservatives softening their messaging on reproductive rights because the American people are not with them, and that includes Republican voters. Most Republican voters want to keep abortion legal in the first trimester. So what Hannity said there is correct. And he's basically urging his fellow Republicans to kind of leave the abortion issue alone, like don't get into it as we quickly approach, the general election and congressional elections. And so he had a guest on, pollster Robert Kahali, who totally agrees with him on this. Let's watch.
It's also the way that you talk about it. I mean, when the word ban is being thrown around, Republicans are losing. When you start talking about simple limitations, reasonable limitations, and talk about the extreme being third trimester abortion and partial birth, Republicans are winning. So they have to be willing to fight that fight and stake their position and make it clear as a bell where they stand and where the extremists on abortion really are and who they are.
So just want to let Fox News know that as a woman, really appreciate that, there's great representation of the female perspective on this issue that impacts them. But nonetheless, the extremists on abortion are also on the right wing, as we know. So consider the fact that there's a 6-week abortion ban about to go into effect in Florida. We talked about that earlier this week. All states in the southeast portion of the country have pretty strict limits on abortion, now leaving literally millions of women with no choice but to flee their state in order to get reproductive care. And 21 states now ban or restrict abortion earlier in a pregnancy than the standard that was set by Roe v. Wade, which focused on the fetus's viability outside the womb, which is somewhere around 23 to 24 weeks. Now, a Gallup poll, because this is what I believe motivated Hannity to have this segment on his show to begin with, a Gallup poll found that a whopping 76% of Republicans still identify as generally pro-life. However, in 2023, 66% of Republicans also said they were in favor of abortion being legal in certain circumstances. So if you look at this graph, there's broad support even among Republicans for protecting access to abortion for patients who are experiencing pregnancy-related emergencies and protecting patients' right to travel to access abortions. An AP NORC poll found that 73% of all US adults, including 58% of those in states with the strictest bans, believe abortion should be allowed at 6 weeks of pregnancy. So this idea that there's a heartbeat, they're not buying it. And they think that at 6 weeks, an abortion should still be legal. And other polls have shown that the majority of Republican voters want to protect the right to an abortion in the first trimester. And I also want to be clear, look, are there extremists on the left who believe that you should be able to have a late term abortion even if the pregnancy is healthy, there's no jeopardy to the woman's life? Sure. We do know that those cases are extremely rare and abortion providers will reject patients if it's a healthy pregnancy. And those who actually carry out an abortion at that late stage do so because the woman's life is in danger. Like, I don't know if guys understand this. And typically on the right, this conversation is mostly dominated by men. Pregnancy is awful. Like, no woman is like, oh yeah, I love being pregnant, it's so great. I mean, maybe some freaks of nature absolutely love it. I know one person who does like the way she feels when she's pregnant, but most women don't enjoy it. They get sick, their ankles are swollen, their body goes through a lot. So the idea that a woman would just like carelessly carry a pregnancy to a late stage to a week before her due date and then demand an abortion is ridiculous. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I want to draw your attention to a couple of phrases that were used in that Fox News interview. First of all, Sean Hannity said, "I'm pretty pro-life." Oh, all of a sudden you're just pretty pro-life. Sean, we've seen your career. Before, when you thought it was a winning political issue, you were adamantly pro-life, and it's about babies and protecting their lives. Now he's all of a sudden, I'm pretty pro-life. Huh. Interesting how things turn, right?
Yeah, actually, I do want to give you an example to prove your point. So in Sean Hannity's book, he did sing a different tune. He said, quote, "Protecting life is deeply important to me. It was important to me before my wife and I had kids, but is even more so now because the stakes are so high. There is no more important issue."
But I'm pretty pro-life.
Pretty pro-life. Now that it's like hurting Republicans in elections, I mean, I'm pro-life too, but do we need to talk about it all the time? We don't
It is the most important issue that we shouldn't talk about at all because it's a losing issue for us. Oh, all of a sudden. Okay. Now the second one I want to draw your attention to is arguably even more important. Did you hear what the pollster said? The pollster said, hey, listen, we should just stick to the things that are popular, like the extreme positions, like having an abortion in the third trimester. Wait a minute, that's Roe v. Wade. Roe said you can't have an abortion in the third trimester, but you could in the first two. So the position that Hannity and his guests are arguing for is Roe v. Wade. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that was the standard set by the Supreme Court decision in the 1970s in Roe v. Wade. States must maintain access to abortion up until the point of viability, and then you can be a red state that restricts, has other restrictions. But I remember the standard was that the anti-abortion laws should not create an undue burden to women seeking an abortion before viability.
And the rough guidelines were first two trimesters, it's legal, and the last trimester, it's not. So you just heard him say, like, we should stick with just the last trimester. Then why'd you bother overturning Roe? You see, it was never about saving babies. They immediately threw that out the minute it turned into a losing political issue. It was always to get political advantage to win elections so they could serve the rich and the powerful. And now it's being quote unquote pro-life is endangering their beloved tax cuts for the rich, so they're throwing it overboard, and you just saw it with your own eyes. So, look, last thing on this for me is that framing in politics is so important. So, and they try to trick you with the framing. It's a form of marketing and propaganda that they do for you guys. That's why you see that poll number that Anna shared with you, where 76% of Republicans claim they're pro-life, but when you actually ask them about it, 66% say, no, I want there to be abortions under certain circumstances. And when you press them on it, as the pollster explains, what is the pollster? He reads polls about what Americans actually think. And what they actually think is Roe v. Wade. It should be legal in the first two trimesters and not legal in the third. Told you.
Yes.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.